there, I'm Mary Houle, gardening with you in Richmond, Vermont, where we are a zone 4. I'm going to talk about fall plant care right now. A lot of you know all about this, but sometimes it's nice to have a refresher, and I appreciate a refresher from time to time. These are examples of hostas that I'm going to be transplanting. I helped somebody break up a large patch that they had, and they came apart so beautifully. I was happy. Usually you get like, this is an example of daylilies that came in. It's almost like a brick. It's almost like a concrete block. So that I have to separate out. I'll show you how to get through that. But the hostas are relatively easy. Not brutal. You just take a knife, chop the top off. Yep, I did that. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. Chop the top off. Just watch your hand. And what I've got now are 2 lovely transplants. All the roots are intact. They're nice and white and healthy. They don't stink. When there's a bad aroma, that's an indication that there's rot. If there's rot, use your handy dandy knife and chop the rot part out. Hostas are pretty resilient. Very unlikely that they rot totally away. At least that's not been my experience. So this is an example of daylilies somebody gave me, and I was so happy because these are not the traditional orange. These are yellow, or at least that's what they said when they gave them to me. We'll see next year. Maybe I'll come on and complain about it. So I'm just going to take my handy dandy serrated knife. It seems a little brutal, but if I wiggle them apart, oh, well, look at that. Oh, I'm not going to retire that knife, but I had been hydrating these. When I picked them up, they were bone dry, and so I just put them in one of my buckets of water, rainwater, and hydrating them seemed to lose. I didn't stir them up a bit, but I just let them rehydrate, and that helps them come apart. I guess I am going to have to use my knife. So I'm going to cut this up because I want several areas to plant these in. And it does seem like a little brutal, but you know what? If you don't break these up, they don't do well. They're not healthy. And you want, if you're going to have something growing in your garden, you want something healthy growing out there. You don't want to say, oh, there's my garden. Sorry, it doesn't look good. So do the best you can with what you have. And again, somebody gave these to me. They said they're yellow, and I couldn't be happier. I've divided that big cement block size up, and now I have 5 chunks that I'm going to be planting. And I'm going to be planting this at least by the end of the day, or I will put them into a soil pot. I don't want to leave the roots exposed. I could put them back into that water, but now that the roots have been exposed, I don't want them to start rotting. And once you expose the roots that way, they either need to skin over, heal over, in some way they need to harden off a little bit. You don't want the water to maintain. You don't want them to dry out completely, but you want them to just scale over a little bit. And maybe dry 8-10 hours, maybe overnight. But they have to have soil contact so that the green parts, the parts that are viable, and when I got them, they were just stubs. So when I put them into water, the green started. And to continue knowing that I'm going to have a healthy plant, I will get these into at least a pot with soil in it by the end of the day. But next year I should have at least 5 separate sets of yellow daylilies, and I'll have 2 new sets of hostas. I have a few more hostas that I'm going to be separating out. But again, I'm going to have a lot more success having separate plants that I've divided up. And they'll each have enough elbow room so that they can grow and be healthy. There's other plants that you can separate out at this time of year. Iris is a good one. Peony, new peonies. The peony roots are called toes, T-O-E-S, and fall is the typical time to divide up your peonies. It's a good time also to cut off the top. I might not always use a knife, but when you're out in the garden, you want to be careful that you don't slice into yourself, so you might want to slice away. Good idea. Some of the annuals that you want to cut down would be the sunflowers, and I have a DR field and brush mower, and that goes through them like butter. The garden weeds, yes, some did get away from you too. I do leave the asparagus ferns though, because there's orange seeds on those, and I don't collect the seeds. I just leave them for winter interest, and the birds tend to like them. The only other thing that I would remove would be other flower stalks that came up. seems to me I've got some bee balm that are about 4 feet high, and I probably would I would mow through those because the root is going to continue on. It's a real sturdy root there. There are a couple things that I only take care of in the spring. I let the rhubarb die down. I let the comfrey die down because as those leaves and those stalks die down, it becomes a fertilizer. You don't take those away and then bring them back, especially the comfrey, which is a deep root mineral draw. So I leave the comfrey and we'll rake the tops off and put it into a bucket for comfrey tea in the spring. But fall plant care, don't do any pruning unless you have a dead, a diseased, or a dying branch. Fall pruning is not a good idea for any of your trees. You do fruit tree pruning late January, February, and into early March. And that's what they do in an orchard that I used to work at. So that's plenty of time. I used to work as a volunteer at the Hort Farm, and in March we would go and prune the lilacs. Prune the lilacs in the early spring, not the fall, the early spring. Well, I guess that's it for today. I can't think of anything else right now, but please do plan on dividing up some of your perennials. If you see a neighbor's dividing up their perennials and you want some of those, offer to help, and I bet you'll get a few in return. That's it for today for Fall Plant Care. Happy gardening. Thank you.